Cocalico-Central rematch from week 6 of the regular season,
That's
first
correct.
week of October. Warm weekend then. It's going to be a little chillier this time.
I think it will be.
You know, what I remember from that game was Central came out of the blocks quick and fast, and Cocalico seemed to be reeling a little bit. What do you expect from this game?
I'm expecting it to go a little bit differently for a number of reasons. But yeah, you're right. Cocalico got down early by 2 touchdowns. Central scored in its first 2 drives of the game, and it was like 14-0 before anybody could even blink. And I don't know that Cocalico ever really recovered from that. I mean, the second half was a lot more even, but Cocalico is not really a team that's built to come back from multiple touchdowns down. Now, against Lancaster Catholic last week in the quarterfinals, they came back from 7 down on 2 different occasions.
Right.
You know, really sort of ran away with it in the second half. That was basically built on their defense getting turnovers, though. And I don't know that you can count on that, you know, against a team like Central, because once they get ahead, they're just going to lean on you with that big line and pound you with their running backs, and, you know, good luck. But the other reason I think it's going to go differently is right now Cocalico is playing better football.
Interesting.
You know, through the playoffs at least. You know, last week they knock off Lancaster Catholic. The week before they hammered Gettysburg. Manheim Central's kind of had its hands full over the last 2 weeks. Now, they had a tougher than expected game against Garden Spot. They ended up winning that by 17. But last week, they had Susquehanna Township, and Susquehanna Township had them on the ropes. I mean, they needed 2 defensive stands inside their 5-yard line in the second half just to turn Susquehanna Township away. They eventually took a intentional safety to cut the final margin down to 17-14, but that was actually a good idea because it got them finally out of the shadow of their own goalposts and let them free kick the ball, and then Susquehanna Township didn't have enough time. So, yeah, I think this could be a really tight game. All of the recent games between these two teams have been tight. I mean, the last one, the final margin was 24-12. It was closer than that, though. It seemed like it, especially in the second half. This should be a really good game. I know we said that about the first game.
I was just going to say,
this could be even better.
I think this one's going to be what the first one we thought was going to be like.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. Yeah, it should be a really good one.
I think Cocalico's going to be prepared. They're not going to be caught off guard like they were the first time. Central just came out so quick on them, and it seemed to catch these guys off guard. I don't think that's going to happen this time. Yeah,
and I think Cocalico's defense is playing a lot better, too. And they had a good defense all year, but really in the playoffs, teams are getting their yards against them. Like Catholic last week, they did get some yardage. Cocalico forced 4 turnovers, and that set up 3 touchdowns in the second half, and that proved to be the difference in the game. So if they can get the ball out of Central's hands a couple times, they really could go in there and get a win.
Cocalico depends on the run game and their speed. And if they get behind by too much, 7 points is fine against Catholic. If they get behind by too much, it's hard for those guys to throw it. So that's going to be a key, is keeping this game close within margin for them.
Yeah. And, you know, Cocalico, you know what they want to do at this point.
Give me some stats.
Sure, absolutely. They're going to run the ball with Jet Janis, the quarterback, and Spencer Moser is their top running back. He had a huge game last week, and he played really well in the first game against Manheim Central as well. Yeah, Moser had 95 rushing yards in that game. He had 93 receiving yards and a touchdown, and he also threw a touchdown pass on a trick play. So he was kind of the man for them. You know, he's their key guy this year. You know, Janis will get you yards on the ground as well. He has just under 900 yards rushing, but he's the big guy. He just went over 1,000 yards last week. 14 touchdowns. He's also the leading receiver, although that doesn't really say much on Cocalico because they hardly throw it. But he has 9 catches for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. He does a little bit of everything for him. I mentioned the touchdown pass he threw. He used to be their quarterback as a freshman. He started a couple games at quarterback. So he kind of does it all for him. So as much as you have to watch out for Janis because he's a really good athlete, really I think the key to beating Cocalico is stopping Moser. You know, Central, on the other hand, you know, they've got the 1-2 punch in the backfield. Mark Royer and Ian Hanselman, the running backs. Royer set a team record for single-season rushing yards this year. He's over 1,700 now. Hanselman went over 1,000 last week. So, you know, that's the key for them. You got to stop those 2 guys before you do anything else defensively. You know, when you're getting a game plan together for Central. But if you concentrate on them too much, keep in mind Colin Fry, even though he hasn't thrown the ball a whole lot this year, he was a 2,000-yard passer last year, and he's got good receivers to throw to. So it's not like you can just put 8 in the box and try to slow down that offense, or Fry will get you. So, yeah, they're a tough team to stop.
From something you had told me earlier in the year, the Central hasn't used all their playbook. I would not be surprised if they don't try to throw the ball more in this game. It's something they haven't had to do a whole lot. Watch them come out with a little bit of a different twist. It's kind of like Mike Williams has done in the past.
Yeah.
I love watching him open up the playbook a little bit.
I think the key for Central is they just got to play better. Now, against Garden Spot, they were uncharacteristically sloppy. Now, I wasn't at the game last week, but and it looked like they came out like gangbusters in the first half, but then field position sort of turned against them in the second half, and they kind of battled that. But it still surprises me that they weren't more successful just grounding and pounding the ball on Susquehanna Township. So I don't know that they put together 4 quarters of really solid football. Certainly not in the playoffs, and given that their starters were sat out half of their games in the last 3 weeks of the season, maybe they're still, maybe they're a little rusty from that. But I think the key for them is they just got to turn it loose and start playing some good football now.
All right, who's going to win this?
As much as I believe Cocalico can go into Central and come out with a win, they've done it before recently. In fact, I think the last time they were in Mannheim, they won. So they are certainly capable of doing it. I think it's going to be Mannheim Central, though, just for the reason I stated. I just think they're due for a good 4-quarter game, where they finally put it all together. That said, I'm expecting it to be a classic football game. I'm really looking forward to it.
You've rode the Central ship all year long. You're not going to jump off the boat.
No, I'm not going to abandon
jump off the boat.
Yeah, absolutely.